Hi, I'm Julia, and welcome to the Much Muchier series, where I unlearn all the ways I've made myself smaller, reignite the spark I dimmed for others' comfort,
Welcome back to Chapter 5.
and remind you of your own unexplored muchness.
I'm doing the Ha Giang Loop tomorrow, which is this 4-day-long motorbike ride through the North Mountains of Vietnam.
It sounds like I wasn't even that excited about it. I was really excited. I was just sitting in a cafe and filming myself there, like challenging myself a little bit more to film myself in public in a more challenging setting. So I was like a little bit shy and uncomfortable, but I was really excited. I promise you that.
I wasn't supposed to do it at first, but everybody keeps telling me that it's like the best travel experience of their life. And I've been trying to figure out why. I get that the views are like out of this world and the mountains are just breathtaking. But the way people are so enthusiastic about it makes me feel like there's something more behind that as well. The people I've talked to, they describe how they become this like little family with their group. During these few days, they become really close with not only the people they're traveling with, but also the easy riders, which is the person that you're riding behind on the motorbike, and also like the pure joy and sheer fun they have when they're like riding through the mountains, doing something that they've never really done before, eating local food, partying together, just having these like unique shared memories that you only have with this group of strangers. When they describe it, it's like their eyes just like start sparkling. They just come alive and you can really see in them how much they felt during this trip, how much emotions they have that are attached to this memory of theirs. And when telling you about it, almost every other sentence is, you have to go. And speaking of feeling a lot, if I'm being honest, lately I haven't really been feeling so much in comparison to what it is that I'm doing and what I feel that I should feel when doing them. For example, like right now I'm traveling through a continent that I've never been in before, and it's always been my dream to go, so naturally I feel that I should feel more than I do. But it feels like nothing really makes a mark in my body, if that makes sense. I'm doing everything right, but nothing feels enough, or as much as I think that it should feel, which could of course be me putting too much pressure on how things should feel. But still, I can't help but feel that it feels like life is just passing through me without me appreciating what's going on enough, or without me feeling, really, because that's really what I want. But also, when you focus so much on that you want to feel, it can kind of get in your own way as well. I know things are happening, but it's like it's slipping through my fingers before I can even feel that like it's right in my hand, if we're gonna use a poetic analogy. That scares me because when I don't feel, I feel like I'm not alive, and that scares me, that I'm not alive to the extent that I could be. Maybe that's why I've become like a little obsessed with this trip to Ha Giang. Not because of the mountains or the beauty, or even just the thrill of the adventure, but more because people say that they felt so much when they were up there. Connection, bonds, this shared euphoria with complete strangers. Just all the things that I'm starting to realize that it feels like I'm missing, or that I already have, but I feel like I'm not recognizing it enough right now. And just the concept of missing something in a world of endless stimulation and things to consume, like that in itself is very paradoxal, really. There's always more content, more things to consume, more noise, and more things that wants us to see and take part of them. How your attention is your most precious currency, that's a topic for another day. Anyways, like we take in so much that, or I feel like I take in so much that I barely like have the time to process it. And when I feel like I can't properly process things and how they make me feel, I kind of stop feeling deeply because I can't keep up with my feelings, so I only feel them on surface level. So instead of feeling them all through, I feel them all, but just on a surface level, if that makes sense. I hope it does. Because like at first glance, it feels like they're deep. One minute you cry about this family dog that passed away last month. 1 minute later, you're laughing your ass off at a dad that's losing it at the house thermostat. Like your emotions go like this. You cried a lot and you laughed hard, but you barely remember it after. You kind of feel the same because you've done this, but you haven't really stopped somewhere and process it and everything because it made you feel so much so fast. But still, it's just like tapping the surface a little bit because you didn't get to process what it is that you just... Oh, sorry, now I'm eating you. Because you didn't get to process what it is that you just felt so deeply. You just went to like the next high or the low. And when that happens increasingly, that's when everything just turns a little flat, a little numb. And that numbness, does this even matter? Or why don't this moment make me feel more right now? That's what I want to try to move away from. Or maybe now you say, well, maybe Julia, you could just not put too much pressure on the moments. And sure, that's a good point. You're a smart one. But I do feel like my muchness has been drained by overstimulation. Sometimes I'm this person that just like watches life in black and white instead of just like feeling it fully with all the damn colors in the palette. Oh yeah, we're still poetic. This is a cringy channel. You should have learned this by now. And I know that something that makes me feel a lot is connection. Human connection. You know when you just like meet someone random that you would have never crossed paths with and that live a completely different life than you. And suddenly you find yourself talking about life. Sorry, there's flies here. They love us. And suddenly you're just like talking about life at 2 a.m. and you realize that you had so much more in common than you thought. Like you've known each other for years. And there's something kind of magical about that. It's something that we can't reproduce exactly like it or curate in tiniest detail. The unknowing and the randomness, without that, I think part of the magic is lost. Because let's be real, like AI, it can create anything today. Dream landscapes, perfect sunsets, faces that don't exist, or facts that are not true, but it can't recreate the feeling of sitting on the back of a motorbike, trusting a stranger from the other side of the world that they won't drive you off a cliff. And it can't recreate like your weird inside jokes that don't make sense at all, but they're funny as hell. To you too. To others, I don't know what you guys are doing. It can try to recreate it like on a paper, but it cannot create the feeling inside of you that you get. I like that about traveling. So many things are just like completely random, and now you're throwing a bunch of strangers into a bundle and you're saying, well, this is your family for the next couple of days. Good luck. And there is something so pure about that because like everybody chose to be there as well, not knowing who would be there with them, but they just throw themselves out, taking a leap and trusting. You didn't choose them. You can't control any of them. You can't curate them. You can't prompt them. But somehow it feels like they were made to show up anyways. Of course, like you always meet characters and you don't love every part of them, but that's kind of like what makes it so funny as well. Like you would have never imagined that a person could think like that or be like that, for better or worse, which is probably what people think about you as well. And also what I like about strangers is that they can remind you, especially when they're living a completely different life than you, they can remind you of the things that you've forgotten to appreciate about yourself.
As it turns out, doing karaoke performances every night does leave its traces.
Or like just the way that you are as a person.
But for them, it's those unique qualities that they're not used to seeing every day because you're the one who has them. And it's something that they really value and appreciate, just as you feel when you get the chance to know and experience them.
And honestly, what I'm hoping for the most is like euphoric calm. You know, when you feel completely alive while also feeling completely present and joyful. You don't think about what you did before or what you're gonna do next. You're just so happy to be right here, right now, and you don't want it any other way. And at the same time realizing that that feeling comes within me. You created that feeling. Not the place, not the people, not the weather. It's yours. You created it. You own that feeling. You own those thoughts that you have in your head right now. That place or those people, they can remind you of what feelings and thoughts that you can create within yourself. You can create them at any time.
Even right now. Or I don't know, especially right now. This is gorgeous.
You can make every moment that you live meaningful to you and make it have an impact on you. But if you're trying to live every moment at the same time and trying to be everywhere at the same time, then that's going to be hard to do. If you're trying to consume everything that comes your way, that's going to be hard because you can't do it all deeply. Then it's going to be surface level. So you kind of need to pick and choose. I hate that. But here we are. I own how much of my muchness that I allow to see the light of day. I own if I want the purest and most fullest version of me to blossom. But you know, I don't know how this trip is gonna be. That's what makes it real. I can't curate it, but I can give it the meaning that I wanted to have for myself.
The trip was amazing. It made me feel a lot. It also made me realize how much I feel when I dare to connect with other people, but also how little I feel when I avoid that connection out of shyness or in fear of an awkward encounter. I did actually have an extraordinary moment when we were passing through the mountains. I was listening to Dream by Miley Cyrus, which is like my favorite song of all time, and I just felt, wow, completely floored. Euphoric, and yet so calm and at peace. also trusting my driver with my life. She was amazing. But all in all, the trip did make me feel a lot of emotions. But it wasn't necessarily perfect. And honestly, maybe that's exactly how I wanted it when thinking back. Because like the lack of curation and like seamless perfection is also what makes things so special. And especially in the era of artificial intelligence. But anyways, that's something for another chapter. I'll see you then.
So all I can do now is just hope and let it go. Hope that I feel something powerful, that I feel something that reminds me of how I can make myself feel at any moment. Something that makes a mark on me, and something that reminds me why being alive is worth leaning into.